Welcome to my social action project presentation for my project Diversity Night. My name is Natalia. I'm from California. And first off, I'm going to start talking about myself. So I'm currently a senior in high school, and was born and raised in San Diego, California. I am Mexican American, and I'm a leader in various student organizations, but my two favorites are student ambassadors, which is kind of like the tour guides and representatives of the school, and then outdoor leadership training. So first off, let's start by addressing the problem. So the problem that I'm hoping to address for this project is the lack of cultural celebration and recognition in my school. I think that this is a problem just because we, by not, celebrating each other's cultures and recognizing each other's cultures, that leads to a lot more racial prejudice and cultural prejudice, which obviously isn't healthy in a learning environment, and which is why I think it's important to fix this problem. So since school is somewhere that students are going to every single day, it's important that everybody feels safe and respected at all times. Otherwise, you know, I've had times where I don't feel as respected at school, and that just kind of gets in the way of learning and gets in the way of being a successful student. And I just think it's important to highlight and really remind ourselves of all the wonderful and diverse communities that make up the student body at my school. So a little bit of information about my school. So it stands for High Tech High Chula Vista. The school population is around 600 students. The final graduating class is around 150. And it's a public charter school, so it goes on a lottery system. You basically put your name in to get into the school, and you don't have to really like apply. You just put your name into the lottery, and it's zip code based. But the three biggest ethnic groups at my school are Latino, specifically Mexican, Asian, specifically Filipino, and Black, specifically African American. Um, we a fun fact about my school is that it's literally right next to the border. You can see Tijuana, which is the bordering city from my school. So most of the students are Mexican, and I feel like that's something that you don't really see at every school. So my solution to this problem is to have a one-night fair each semester about celebrating cultures. I think that this is just a really fun and festive way to highlight each other's cultures and do it in a way that is exciting for everybody. So I hope to do this in early spring or March. I think by starting this project at the end of this month or the beginning of January and the beginning of my second semester, I'll have enough time to plan it out and also be able to reach out to other clubs like Peace Leadership Club at my school and be able to successfully launch this project in March. So I'm hoping to do this on the north lawn of my school. This is an actual photo of my school, but I couldn't really find a better photo that represents the north lawn besides this photo that I took for a project that I did last year. So this north lawn is a space that can be utilized by anybody. And most recently we had a winter fair market. I think it was last week, where the different clubs were able to sell like food, clothing, stuff like that to fundraise for their clubs. And I saw that happening, and I thought that this, could really work out for my project. And having those booths and having live music, we actually had a band from, I think it's like 5 sophomores at my school. They were performing there. So definitely, after seeing the winter market being held there, I know that the project is something that I can launch here in this area. So how this is going to happen is through mostly student-led organization. Specifically, I will be collaborating with the Peace Leadership Club at my school. This club is a club that is all about creating peaceful environment and addressing any kind of issues, whether it's bullying, racism, things like that within our school. And as for how the fair will look, it will have different booths with the different cultures, and each booth will have different things such as foods that they can actually sell or just give out for free, different things displaying traditions, clothing, toys, things like that, and just a bunch of fun festivities, and then live music and performances on the front part of the north lawn. So as far as resources goes, the main costs are going to be the materials for the booths. I would like to provide $50 for each booth. And in total, I would like to have around 10 to 20 booths, depending on how many students decide to volunteer. And then also performers or entertainment. This all really comes down to what the performer asks, but I am like estimating $100 an hour. So in total, my starting goal for my GoFundMe is $500. And then as for in-kind donations, the North Lawn, that's just an area that I can reserve at my school, as well as canopies, tables, and tablecloths. Those are things that I can just reserve for my school and or borrow from teachers, etc. And then for volunteers, I would like to have around 20 to 30 student volunteers. And as for the process of recruiting those volunteers, I will be putting up flyers at the beginning of the semester, asking for people to volunteer and to join me in planning this project, as well as, the students volunteering from the Peace Leadership Club. So in conclusion, what I hope to take from this and how I think that it will be successful is to have at least 200 people attend. While we do have a 600 student population, I feel like sometimes when it comes to like after school events, not that many people show up. So 200 people would be a really good, goal for me, especially if people are inviting families. And it is a K through 12 school, so maybe having students from the elementary and the middle school join would be fun as well. And then just having a more welcoming and respectful environment at school after we are able to celebrate and recognize each other's cultures. That is like the biggest thing for me. That's what I hope is the most important outcome out of everything. And how I will measure that is through surveying participants, surveying through a Google form, and that will be sent out like in a QR code. And hopefully what I want to happen is to have at least 80% of the participants feel like school is a more welcoming environment after having that event. So yeah, this is the link to my GoFundMe. I'll put it in the chat right now. But yes, thank you very much. Are there any questions?